There's nothing like an organized life. I'm talking an organized home, an organized office, organized finances, and overall organization as part of everyday life. We've all been exposed to clutter and can instantly feel the effects. I know I've walked into my house after a long day at work, and after seeing a mess everywhere, my mood instantly tanks. The same can be said for cluttered finances. When your finances are disorganized, you feel the weight of it on your mental shoulders. In this episode, I'm sharing 6 tips to help you organize your finances. So let's make it a point to get good with our finances, get organized once and for all. Hey there, I'm Raya Reeves, and over a decade ago, I turned my life around through budgeting. I went from being an overspender deep in credit card debt to being the founder and full-time money coach of City Girl Savings. Now, I help women work towards their dream life and tap into their financial power one budget at a time. I fully believe you can live a life you love with a budget, and I'm living proof. The weekly City Girl Savings podcast focuses on the intersection of money and the City Girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial. Now, really quick, I need to share something with you. Once you've finished listening to this episode, I want you to go and listen to episode 21, Setting Up Your Financial Filing System. I'll link to it in the show notes. But in that episode, I walk listeners through the exact steps they need to take to get an actual financial filing system in place so that they can ensure organization is always the end result. It's such a good episode. If after hearing this one, you are like feeling motivated and ready to get organized, definitely listen to that one. All right, well, let's get into 6 tips to help you organize your finances. Tip number 1 will come as no surprise. Create a budget. A budget is a great way to see what you have coming in and going out on a consistent basis, and ideally monthly. Having all of this information in one place will come in handy as you refer to it throughout the month to make sure that you're actually on track with paying your bills, keeping your spending in check, putting money towards savings or debt, all of the things that are required of your financial situation. Now, a budget is also a great way to stay organized with all of your bills and spending. The first part of your budget is your expected income for the month, right? So what do you actually expect to be coming in? When you have this listed in your budget, you can make sure that that actually happens. But the second part of your budget is the expenses and spending. So what are you expecting to go out over the course of the month in terms of your bill amounts and your spending amounts? So I want you to make a list of your monthly bills and expenses along with their due dates. Keep this list up to date and utilize it when you're creating your budget for future months. So let me just make this clear really quickly. A budget is not simply a list of your bills and expenses. Okay, that's only a small part of your budget. Your budget should be the money that's coming in, so your expected income for the month. It should also be the money that's going out, so your expected bills and expenses for the month, but also what's left over after that, right? So after your bills and expenses are subtracted from your income, what are you left with and what are you doing with that leftover money? Okay, that is a budget in its entirety. So a budget has 3 pieces: income, expenses, and what to do with leftover profit. But for the sake of being organized with your finances, we want to make sure that we have all of the monthly bills and expenses, the amounts, the due dates listed, and have it handy because we spend our money on those things. So having that running list will keep you on top of your budget as you create it month over month. Now, I have said this before, I will say it again. A budget is the number 1 tool for financial success, and organization is part of that success. So if you don't have a budget, go ahead and grab a copy of my free monthly budget overview tracker. I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes, but we got to get something in place here. If you want to be organized with your finances, a budget is a great place to start. The next tip to help you organize your finances: Track your spending. The only way you're going to know if you're actually sticking to the budget you've created and to know if that budget is actually working as it should be is if you track your spending. So this is an organizational process in and of itself, right? And there are a few ways you can actually organize your spending once it's tracked. So let me first start by saying we need to track our spending no matter what. And when you go about tracking your spending, you can organize your spending with categories. So I think, one of the best ways to organize your spending as a whole is to categorize it as you're tracking. So whether you track with an app, you use cash envelopes, so you have, physical cash to monitor your spending, or you actually have a spreadsheet, you can make sure that your spending is categorized appropriately. Now, some apps will automatically categorize your spending, but you'll just want to make sure that they are accurate because sometimes they'll lump money into the wrong category. So you want to just make sure you're still going in and making sure everything is properly categorized. Now, your spreadsheet should be calculating the total spent in each category. So as you track your spending with a spreadsheet, you should be able to see how much over the course of the month you spent on going out to eat, on groceries, on debt payments. So your spreadsheet should be categorizing it. And then finally, with cash or your cash envelopes, you should make sure that you're indicating a starting cash balance and an ending cash balance, which is likely zero. That way you can see, okay, I started with $100 in my dining out budget and I'm ending the month with $5 in there. Therefore, I spent $95 on dining out for the month. When you know how much you spend in each category, you can adjust as necessary. You can say, okay, this was actually a good month. I gave myself enough to go out to eat with. So moving forward, my $100 budget for going out to eat can stay as it is. Now, another way you can organize your spending is with just a holistic view. So I want you to finish the organizational process of tracking your spending by putting it into this holistic view where you can see everything. And I think the best way to do that is with a spreadsheet or an app. With cash, it's going to be a very manual process to understand exactly how much you spent in total over the course of the month. But I'd recommend looking at the total spent in a specific time frame. So ideally a month, 6 months, or a year, depending on what your goal is with this, and compare it to the amount of money you made in that time frame. So let's take a month, for example. You should know how much money was coming in over the course of that month, okay? How much did you actually receive in that month? But then you should also know exactly how much you spent in that month. And I'm not just talking in individual categories, but all spending for the month total. So that's when I say a holistic view, I mean exactly how much you spent for everything over the course of the month. And then I want you to compare that to what you made. Basically, are you making more than you're spending, or are you spending more than you make? And again, the only way to see this is by knowing how much came in total and how much went out in total. So once you have that information, you can ask yourself, am I spending more than I make? Am I profiting? If I am profiting, where did the profit go? So when you can see your spending in this holistic view, you can actually understand what's happening with it at a high level. So this information, again, is great for helping you make the right decisions with your spending and money and budget in general. Next tip to help you organize your finances, set up automatic bill pay. So first, let me just say, proceed with caution. I only want you to set up automatic bill pay if you have a budget plan in place and if you have enough in your account for bills to actually come out automatically. Okay, so if you are an overspender and you have bill pay set up, but it's, pulling money, but you're overspending, your bills may not go through and you may be charged an overdraft fee. I do not want that for you. If you are an overspender and you can't guarantee that you will have your bill amounts in your account, I want you to focus on getting your spending under control before setting up automatic bill pay. But Now that I've said that, let's assume that you have a budget in place, you're not crazy with overspending, and you can afford all of your bills. Setting up automatic bill pay is a great way to stay organized and make sure that your bills are always paid on time. Now, when you set up automatic bill pay, you really have two options. You can set it up with your bank. And so through your bank account, you can designate all of your bill payments to come out of that bank account. Or you can go into each of your bill providers and one by one set up automatic bill pay through them. I actually would recommend setting it up with your bank, primarily because most banks offer this service for free, and it's a great way to see all of your bills in one place along with their due dates, right? So instead of having to go to each of your bill service provider's website, you can see all of the bills that are set up on automatic bill pay through your bank and see everything listed all in one place. Another thing you can do is get a digital calendar to help you remember your bill due date. So if you don't want to set up automatic bill pay, or you just always want to have a pulse on when things are going to be coming out of your account, you can get, a digital calendar, get a cute desk calendar, get a planning book, and write the bill amounts and due dates every month. Just add it as part of your monthly budget setup routine to get all the dates in your planner. And as long as you remember to update it, you will stay on top of your bills and the dates that they are due. Are you loving this episode so far? Well, the money and life level up conversations never end in the City Girl Savings community. Visit citygirlsavings.com for instant access to resources that help you budget, level up your money mindset, and so much more. And make sure you stay up to date with CGS by following us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at City Girl Savings. The next tip to help you organize your finances is to create a repository for all of your accounts. So we all have numerous accounts, whether they're financial or otherwise. They could be bank accounts, credit accounts, brokerage accounts, shopping accounts, or mileage and rewards accounts. So to get organized and make sure that you never forget an account, I want you to create a repository, aka a spreadsheet, that has all of your accounts and where and how you can access them. So I do recommend a spreadsheet because it can always be accessed via a computer or your phone. And it can also always be easily updated as your situation changes, whether you close accounts or open new accounts. If you don't have the luxury of using a spreadsheet, you can always list your accounts in a notebook. Just make sure that you always have the notebook with you and you keep it updated. So it'll be much more manual, but still can be effective for creating this repository. So how you can get started with this is literally open an Excel spreadsheet file or even a Google Sheets page and name it My Accounts. And then from there, start by listing each account you have. So all your bank accounts, your credit accounts, brokerage accounts, shopping accounts, rewards accounts, mileage accounts, get everything listed and then indicate whether those accounts are open or closed and whether they have balances or not. Don't worry about adding any additional information outside of that just yet. I think for now, the goal is to get the list created and make sure that all of the accounts we have are actually accounted for. Once you have all of your accounts listed, that's when you can start adding pertinent details to your list. Think things like where you can access the accounts, any important notes about the accounts, and any applicable account access details. Now, if you are worried about having your password in this spreadsheet or repository and don't feel comfortable with that, you can use a secure password vault like LastPass to keep track of all of your account passwords without running the risk of, somebody finding it or seeing it and potential fraud happening. But having this repository of all your accounts is a great way to get organized and never let an account slip through the cracks. It may take you a while to actually build this list, depending on how many accounts you have, if there are things that you need to research. But once you have this list up and running, just maintain it and you'll always know where your accounts are located. Moving on to the next tip to help you organize your finances, start your estate planning. Now, I know this is one that most people don't want to deal with. It's a part of people's financial life that they usually don't bother dealing with. But regardless of how old you are, if you have kids, the amount of assets you have, it's absolutely important to get your estate affairs in order and actually maintain it. So if you're younger, you don't have kids, you may get your estate kind of in order now, but major life changes could impact those affairs. And so you want to just stay on top of this. But if you have not started planning your estate, I want you to focus on that now. So some things that you can think about are, does your company offer life insurance? I know a lot of companies offer life insurance for their employees either at no cost or very low cost. So are you automatically enrolled in life insurance currently? And if so, do you have a beneficiary set? Meaning, if something were to happen to you and your company paid out the life insurance, they would give it to your beneficiary in a matter of days, right? But if no beneficiary is set, that could tie up that extra money in court and it could take years for it to actually be paid out. So it's very simple to go into your life insurance company's website, establish a beneficiary, and leave it at that. You can always change it down the line. So it's not once it's set in stone. You can always change it later. Now, speaking of beneficiaries, you can also establish beneficiaries on your 401k or retirement accounts or even your bank accounts. I think this is such an important part of financial organization because if something were to happen to you, like I said, your money would be paid out instantly to those beneficiaries and it doesn't have to get tied up in court and probate and all that unnecessary stuff that people have to deal with when death comes into their life. So go through your bank accounts, even if you don't have much in there, just establish a beneficiary just so you know that's taken care of. Anybody can do this right now. And then, as you obtain more assets, as you grow in your net worth and things like that, just make it a point to always review and adjust where necessary. Now, before I move on to the final tip for organizing your finances, I want to just share one more thing regarding estate planning. As much dismay as it is to think about death and things going wrong, we have to. So if something were to happen to you in the event of an emergency, what would happen? Who would be able to make decisions on your behalf? Who would say pull the plug or not? Do you have those decisions on paper? If not, you need to. So have the basics of your estate covered and ensure that the documents are in a safe place. And if you're not sure where to start, I actually spoke with the estate planning mom on Instagram. Her name's Krista Hermance, about how millennials can get started with estate planning. It's episode 47. I'll be sure to link to it in the show notes, but she provides such great information for people to be aware of as they go about getting started with planning their estate. So definitely check that out. Okay, the final tip to help you organize your finances: ensure that you have automatic savings set up before anything. So, have you heard of the term pay yourself first? This notion of paying yourself first is actually one of the money principles from The Richest Man in Babylon. It is also a tried and true piece of financial advice, and it basically means that whenever you get paid, so whenever you make money, a portion of that money should be saved immediately, automatically. Like paying yourself first means before the money has a chance to be spent, you are actually saving a portion of it. And an ideal amount is 10%, but we can't always do that. 10% was actually what was recommended in The Richest Man in Babylon, but I understand it's not always possible to save 10% of your income, but something saved is better than nothing right when you get paid. So you can start establishing this organizational tip right off the bat. Just, have automatic savings transfer set up or have a portion of your paycheck direct deposited into a savings account so you don't even have to miss the money. Take a look at your budget to see what you can realistically afford to save. It needs to be something. Even if it's $25 a paycheck, that is fine. We need to save something. Whatever that number is that you know you can afford to save, I want you to start there and eventually work your way up as you earn more money or you learn to live on less. So like I said, you can set up, an automatic savings transfer, or you can have that money direct deposited from your paycheck directly to your savings. Whichever route you go, just get it set up as soon as possible. And I'll make sure to link to The Richest Man in Babylon in the show notes because I think it is such a good, powerful personal finance read. I hope that you can take action on at least one of the tips I shared with you today and eventually work your way up through all of them. Getting organized can have a tremendous impact on your mental and physical well-being, especially when you are financially organized. So start implementing the tips I shared as soon as you can, and I promise you will quickly see a difference. Thank you so much for letting me be the money coach in your ear today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the City Girl Savings Podcast and you feel empowered and motivated to take the next step in the journey to your dream life. Remember, if someone like me, a millennial who loves to travel, new experiences, and iced coffees can live a life they love on a budget, you can too.